Hello and welcome. Michael here, and I'm gonna bring you a dream that I had. That night I was praying, basically for God's people, and it started out where I believe I was going to this TV to watch something, and as I was watching, um, it kind of like became enveloped into this dream, kind of. And it started out where it was like all these military people and were being shuffled. I can't remember the first parts of the dream too well. But I remember Sarah. She was kind of like a ghost-like, but she was there, but she wasn't. Kind of like translusive, almost. I don't know how to describe it. But anyways, she was saying that she was able to receive data uh, from her other self, and she was the only one that could do so from a different dimension or whatever. And so from that scene, there's the scene of I'm going to say the harlot, this woman, dressed in blackish, kind of, I wouldn't say puffy, but chunky, kind of. And these people that were behind her, I'm thinking almost like demons or really evil men. And they got this thing that was into her ear, and it's like prodding on her ear. And she like sits back kind of like on her throne, and it's like, and they're just kind of like all chuckling kind of deal. And it's like she's saying, it's like, you guys just treat me like a man. It's like I'm a woman kind of deal. So, the scriptures here for the ear part, then his master shall bring him into the judges. This is Exodus 21:6, shall also bring him to the door, or unto the door post, and his master shall bore his ear through with an alm, and he shall serve him forever. Jeremiah 6:10. To whom shall I speak and give warning, that they may hear? Behold, their ear is uncircumcised, and they cannot hearken. Behold, the word of the Lord is unto them a reproach, and they have no delight in it. And so this is what I was kind of seeing from this woman, this like harlotry thing, I guess. So then it jumps again to a different scene. This time, I'm like walking, I'm like kind of like pursuing from this one person's point of view, whether it's me or someone else, I don't know. So she was saying I was saying to her how it came about is she was able to receive data from the other person. I thought it was just like, oh, she can just receive the whole thing. But the data was coming from her arm itself. And I'm going to talk more about that at the end of this. And that's very significant, I think. But on top of that, it came into this one area where everybody was just kind of bowing down. And I was not really bowing down at all. I was just kind of like, I was about ready to bow down, but then I kind of stand straight up. And on one of my foot, there was this panel that was kind of like a booby trap, is the best I could describe it. And every time I would put my foot down, another trap would go off. And at one point, one trap at the beginning, it just falls straight down. It's like, well, good thing I wasn't bowing down. You know, I was standing straight up. Otherwise, this trap would just kind of kill me because it fell all around me and didn't get me. So, from there, and this trap was, as I was keep on pushing down, it would start like letting other traps loose in the place, and all these traps were going off everywhere. And for the verse here, I have 1 Corinthians 16:13. Watch ye, stand fast in the faith, quit you like men, be strong. So be strong in faith, stand in faith. And then this one guy that's kind of like the judge, the ruler, he's like doing flips, and there's like 3 females I know that were just kind of like in skimpy stuff, and blades and traps fell on them, and they just kind of like disappeared. And there's this one guy, he's kind of like flipping, and every time he's flipping, and there's like daggers coming straight down where he was just previously at. And eventually everybody's just like, no, stop. And eventually it's like, wow, this is amazing. This is the first time everybody's in union. And he turns to this one woman and it's like, let's get married. And from that, the best verse I could come up with was Exodus 10:7. And Pharaoh's servants said unto him, how long will this man be a snare unto us? Let the men go, that they may serve the Lord their God. Knowest thou not yet that Egypt is destroyed? And that's kind of what I was doing there, is I was more of a snare to everybody. I'd just be putting my foot down, and there'd be traps going off on them and everything else. And everybody's just, and all his people that are around this one judge or whatever, it's like, no, stop. The destruction's just too much, And, yeah. So at that point, I get out of this dream, or not dream, but watching this, and I get a phone call from my mother saying that the wedding is an hour earlier than what it was. And so it's like, okay, I'm coming home, and I was at White Castle, and I had to travel home. And it's like, well, even if I ran, I could still get home within about 20 minutes. And I don't know if that's significant or not, but yeah. So I did do some praying when I first woke up from this dream. And the first thing, and I'm going to be talking about the woman here, that he reminded me of was something like from 10 years ago. An episode of 7 Days that I watched, and I kind of was interesting. I'm going to share that a little bit about that, but first I want to talk about her arm, which I think is very significant. Verse here for that is, then let my arm fall from my shoulder blade, and my arm be broken from the bone. For the destruction from God was a terror to me. By reason of his highness I could not endure. And she is also complaining, something else she was saying is, yeah, the reason why was the version from her in the other dimension had committed suicide, or supposedly have committed suicide. And the reason I'm bringing that up now is when I was watching, I actually did go and I actually found this episode and I watched it. Basically, 7 Days is a time-traveling series, and they're only about to go back 7 days. Well, the pastor of this one church, he basically had this visions that God was giving him about Michael's ark chariot crossing through the sky, and he's going to deliver the drug-infested people out of this land, out of the city, and all this stuff. And in the first timeline, nothing happens. The chariot's not there. The visions seems to have failed, and he's basically at this point, just kind of like in a bit of a distress, and he ends up being kicked out of the church kind of deal for basically one too many visions. And at that point, this one woman comes and he tries to get save this one guy out of this drug house, and basically they put a hit on him. And in that time line, he basically is killed off by them, and they all presume that he basically took his life. He had committed suicide by everybody's standard in that version. At least that was what was said. But the story does allude that he actually didn't commit suicide. It was a hit, a drug hit or whatever. And not that he did drugs or anything like that. He was against it. And so the time machine, they, being one of the friends, was very close to one of the people involved here. And whole long story short, they went back 7 days, and in the capsule, the time machine was basically basically came. They saw the chariot this time. The thing that was going across the sky was actually a time machine. And since he went through time, it basically made all the prophecies and all the visions that the Lord had shown him come to pass. And I just thought that was kind of interesting. The Lord kind of brought that to my mind. That episode, and it's one of those episodes. It's like, huh. And basically, at the end of close to the end of the episode, he sees this vision of Jesus, kind of deal, and because he's like close to death, and he had been shot. He did survive and all that stuff in that episode, but yeah. And like I said, that was from like 10 years ago. I seen that, and God just brought that to my mind when I was praying that episode. So, okay. God bless. Amen.